Well, here we go again. Not one but several petrolhead YouTube channels are loudly claiming that we EV drivers, we're going to lose our exemption to the congestion charge and we're going to have to start paying every one of us £5,000 a year, making EVs a total complete waste of money. Why did we waste so much money? They seem to be laughing at us. And I've received many comments down below and they've all asked me to take it on. I'm Dave, welcome to Dave Takes It On and Dave Takes It On. So where are we? Is there any truth in this? And as always, here the headlines and much of the content simply do not match the facts. There's some outright lies, some glaring omissions and massive FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt from these doom and gloom merchants who want to see the end of EVs. So let's take it in stages. First, what is the congestion charge? Well, the term congestion charge is not the same as a clean air zone or a ULEZ, ultra low emission zone. The congestion charge is unique to London. It was brought in specifically to reduce the traffic and congestion in central London and reduce the economic damage caused by that traffic congestion. It's not 24 hours a day, runs from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening, just peak hours. And it runs from 12 noon till 6 o'clock every Saturday, Sunday and bank holiday. So, fact number one, if you want to visit your Aunt Ethel anywhere at all in London outside this tiny area, you'll not have to pay the congestion charge, not a penny. Next, even if you do drive into this zone, if it's after 6 o'clock or at weekends, you won't need to pay anything, not a penny. Also, if you happen to live in this tiny area, you get a 90% reduction in the charge on the occasions that you do set off driving inside it. Don't pay a penny for living there, just get a charge reduced by 90% if you set off driving between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. So how much is this actually going to cost you? Well, let's say you live in the congestion zone and you travel by using your own car every single day, every week. You're going to spend 48 weeks, yeah, you're allowed a holiday, 5 days a week, £15 a day charge, £3,600 a year. But, oh, hang on, if you do live anywhere within the congestion zone, you get an automatic 90% discount for being a resident. 90% off 3,600 leaves, £360 a year. Whoa, is that going to break the bank? So, hard cold fact is that most people will never incur a charge at all, ever. Most others will happily wait till after 6 and also pay nothing. If you do live there, you're only ever going to pay £360 total for the whole year. But that's only if you drive in the zone every single day. So come on, you liars and misleaders, tell the truth. A tiny fraction of people who drive into this small area each day will ever pay anything. Then, unless they absolutely have to go in earlier, the majority will simply wait till after 6. So the people affected is a tiny number. It might be of interest that blue badge holders get 100% exemption. Oh, as do motorbikes. Oh, and emergency services, ambulances. Oh, and NHS vehicles are exempt from road tax. Oh, for silly me, taxis and private hire drivers as well. So what's changed? What's brought all this on? Well, the congestion charge has been around for over 20 years and these doom merchants first really do need to find out why it was introduced. It was not for pollution or air quality. Nothing to do with EVs. It was specifically and only to relieve congestion from traffic that was so bad that it was having a negative impact, economic impact on business. Far too many cars. Or paraphrasing here, but those of us who were just out for a jolly around the central London were getting in the way of the business traffic that had no choice but to be there. So this is nothing to do with EVs, hydrogen, ultra low emission cars at all. It is to stop those who do not need to be there from holding up those who do. And what has changed? Not now, of course, that would be too simple. That would be brutal, but it's changing from the 25th of December 2025. The BVs and HFCVs, hydrogen fuel cell cars, that currently are totally exempt will have to start paying their way. But obviously with the same caveats, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m, residents discount only in the, the thing. So these poor little petrol-head dears are getting their pretty little frilly knickers in a real twist about something that's not going out for another 18 months and then only affect a very small minority. Do any of you consider that a valid reason why you should sell off your EV today? I certainly don't. But there's far more that they haven't told you. They won't, so I will. On the front page of the TfL website detailing the congestion charge is a small sentence. It says, if your vehicle does not meet the ULEZ standards, you must also pay the ULEZ fee. Now, of course, I just entered my Model S details into their vehicle checker and oh, guess what? I do not need to pay a daily ULEZ charge to drive in the zone, and I am helping to improve air quality across London. By the way, the ULEZ is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no exemptions. Now, if I was to descend to their gutter level, I would at this point out that all petrol, diesel and hybrids will now have to pay while I don't. But I do not blatantly lie like that. That's not my way. I know that there are many other vehicles, especially more recent models, and they're already exempt, just like EVs. These are ultra-low emission vehicles. So the number actually paying the ULEZ is really quite small. So we're still nowhere near the end of these lies because so far we've only talked about London. And I personally don't live there, don't drive there, ever. I hate the place. Nor do millions of motorists around the country. So what's happening elsewhere? Well, there are no congestion zones that I can find. There are plenty of clean air zones springing up all over the place, and these are a totally different kettle of fish. Let's explore these, shall we? Clean air zones are very different. Their one and only purpose is to ensure that the air that we breathe is clean, fresh and healthy so that we, our children and grandchildren can grow up healthy. And here is a difference. An obvious statement here, but EVs produce no exhaust emissions of any sort in any quantity from any of the vehicles. Absolute zero. Every single car with an ICE, internal combustion engine, burning fossil fuel, does. Petrol, diesel, LPG, PHEV, HEV, they all produce pollution. Now, so that they didn't upset too many of these people already pumping out vast quantities of toxic, poisonous, carcinogenic fumes, they allowed some of the more recent cars, slightly more efficient ones, to be exempt. They didn't have to pay, just like EVs. These are classed as ultra-low emission vehicles. Well, is that not a classic oxymoron? Clean, toxic, carcinogenic emissions? Well, we'll see. But here's the first distance that is appearing. You see, these clean air zones are designed to clean up the air, and of course, the results are being monitored. All councils, many other organisations and governments have to now legally constantly monitor the results of these. As too, they monitor the reduced speed limits we're beginning to see permanently on certain motorways, like the M4 in Wales, and at peak times at other motorways, namely near Birmingham. And these should be of much more serious concern to the doom and gloom liars who drive fossil fuel cars, because one of their campaigns is just ramping up to full speed, trying to get rid of the clean air zones by stating they don't work and have no beneficial impact on air quality. Wow, wow again. If there's one thing we EV drivers who do care about the environment definitely want to hear, it's that the existing clean air zones aren't working. Why? Because it's not us. It's not us EV drivers. Can't possibly be. It must be the select ICE cars currently exempt that are producing all the air pollution above the permitted levels. And if the clean air zone doesn't work, and they still want clean air, guess what's going to happen next? Well, don't listen to me, listen to the BBC. They have seen documents that state that the reduced speed limits are being monitored closely and can be upgraded to clean air zones if they don't work. Talk about turkeys voting for Christmas. Come on, all you ICE drivers, tell your local MP the clean air zones aren't working. Please, please. If the reduced motorway speed limits don't clean up the air we breathe, they'll have to change them. And it's not up to local councils. The motorways are owned and run by central government. Stand by for compulsory clean air zones on our motorways, courtesy of you lot complaining about ULEZ. Love it. Anyway, of course, it goes much further. If the existing clean air zones don't work in the major cities, then the government will have one simple option. It's not us EV drivers, we're not doing it. They will simply dramatically reduce the number of ICE cars that are currently exempt. Stand by over the next few years, probably even sooner, to see the maximum emission limits slashed until most, if not all, ICE cars suddenly have to start paying, every single one. No, not EVs, not us having to pay like you're crowing, but like you recently screeched from the highest buildings, but all the cars that burn any sort or quantity of fossil fuel. Over the next few years, as pollution continues to increase, not decrease, councils, companies and governments are going to have to take more and more serious measures. And the low-hanging fruits are those cars that currently emit exhaust fumes but can drive free of charge in clean air zones. And ULEZ. Your days are numbered. Our EVs are not. But then leap forward a few years and the total ban on the sale of new ICE cars burning any fossil fuel will be in force. How long, once that happens, before all the older cars on the road will simply be excluded from any town, city or motorway where there's any danger of any air pollution? Now, just one final message on trying to scare us with the cost of driving an EV. Consider this. The very best ICE cars manage around, 60 to the gallon, but the average car we drive is much closer to 45. And it's not us telling you, it's you petrol heads. You yourselves tell us this. Websites like Honest John, Car Wow, Auto Trader, the international energy agencies. These are not us. At 45 to the gallon and petrol 140 a litre, you're paying 14 pence a mile. I charge at home and I pay 7 pence with Octopus Go Electric. And my car, really old, only does 3 miles per kilowatt hour. I pay 2.5p a mile. Okay, yes, my viewers, do keep reminding me that many of them not only charge at home, but also produce their own free electricity. Come on, petrol heads, which is cheaper? Or to put it another way, tank full of fuel will cost you best part of 100 quid these days and might get you 500 miles. My battery, absolutely full up at home, costs me a fiver and that'll get me 250 miles. Again, which do you consider cheaper? Well, you trust petrol heads that tried to scare us clean green EV drivers. What do you think of it all now? But before I get abused, let me ask you one very serious question. Are you actually really totally happy that your ICE cars pump out toxic, poisonous, carcinogenic fumes that are killing not only you, but your family, your children and your grandchildren to come? Are you really? Because I believe there are very few idiots who will actually stand up and say public that they want to produce these exhaust fumes and keep on producing them now that we know for a fact that they stunt our children's growth, retard their learning ability, provoke increased allergenic reactions, giving us debilitating chronic illnesses, and kill prematurely about 50,000 men, women and children each year in the UK. Except we cannot ban burning fossil fuel overnight, our society would collapse. But surely there can be nobody out there who actually wants these emissions spewing out, killing us all any longer than is absolutely necessary. So let me ask you, this is the final question now. If your kids at school discovered asbestos in the classrooms in lethal quantities, filling the air that your kids breathed in every single day of their developing lives, would you say, oh, well, it's too dear to correct, it would destroy our economy, so we'll just put up with it for now? Spoiler alert, toxic, poisonous, carcinogenic fumes coming out of your exhaust pipes kill your kids and grandkids far quicker than asbestos ever will. That is a long, lingering, painful death. Why are you still protecting cars that you know are spewing out deadly exhaust fumes? I'm Dave. Enough said.